How are you guys doing? Today is Monday, May 17th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Sunday, May 16th, 2021, the last day of the 2020-2021 NBA season. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on for today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. Getting started with the NBA, and the very last game of the NBA regular season, that was shortened to 72 games for each team because of course, the delayed continuation of last year's season. Starting off in New York, the New York Knicks hosted the Boston Celtics as the Knicks were able to beat the Celtics 96-92. As the difference would come in the second quarter where the Knicks outscored the Boston Celtics by 16. For the Celtics in this matchup, their leading scorer came off the bench as their power forward, Jabari Parker, would finish with 18 points of his own, along with 7 rebounds in 27 minutes as he shot 6 for 10 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. For the New York Knicks, their leading scorer was their starting shooting guard out of Duke, RJ Barrett. He finished with 22 points in 33 minutes as he shot 7 for 12 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 6 for 8 from the foul line. And their all-star starting power forward, Julius Randle, would finish with 20 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists in 37 minutes as he shot 5 for 17 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 8 for 10 from the foul line. With this win, the New York Knicks will finish this season with a 41-31 record. They are tied with the Atlanta Hawks for the 4th best record, but because the New York Knicks own the tiebreaker, the New York Knicks have full control over the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. They have won their last 3 games, and officially they've won 7 of their last 10. In the Eastern Conference playoff picture alongside the Hawks, they sit 5 games behind the 3rd place Milwaukee Bucks, and they're going to finish this season 1 game ahead of the 6th seed defending Eastern Conference champions Miami Heat. With this loss, the Boston Celtics are now 36-36. They will finish the season with the 7th best record in the NBA as they ended up losing their 6 of their last 10 games of the season. In the playoff picture, they currently sit 4 games behind they finished the season 4 games behind the 6th place Miami Heat and 2 games ahead of the 8th place Washington Wizards and 9th place Indiana Pacers. With this season, they will finish with the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, and they will have to face off against Washington in the first play-in game in that conference, just to give a sense of where the Boston Celtics are. And they will finish this season 13 full games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference. Jumping out to Tampa, the Toronto Raptors hosted the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers were able to beat the Raptors 125-113 and will be Toronto's final game of the season. They outscored the Raptors by 12 in the second quarter, and they won the game by 12, so that was really the difference. For the Toronto Raptors in their final game of the season, their starting small forward, Stanley Johnson out of Arizona, finished with 24 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 steals, and 6 turnovers in 43 minutes as he shot 6 for 18 from the field and 9 for 11 from the foul line. Oh no, I messed up. Their leading scorer was their starting point guard, Malachi Flynn. Malachi Flynn finished with 27 points and 5 assists alongside 2 steals in 46 minutes as he shot 8 for 22 from the field, 5 for 13 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the line. And also in the starting lineup, their starting shooting guard, DeAndre Bembry, would finish with 23 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 steals in 42 minutes as he shot 9 for 22 from the field, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the line. For the Indiana Pacers, in their final game of the regular season, their leading scorer would be their starting forward, O'Shea Brissett. He finished with 31 points and 10 rebounds in 36 minutes as he shot 10 for 16 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and 6 for 9 from the foul line. Their all-star starting power forward, Domantas Sabonis, would finish with 25 points, 16 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 6 blocks in 39 minutes as he went on to shoot 12 for 18 from the field and 1 for 2 from 3. And then their starting small forward out of Creighton, Doug McDermott, would finish with 20 points in 32 minutes as he shot 8 for 15 from the field and 4 for 8 from 3. With this win, the Indiana Pacers are now 34-38. They are tied with the Wizards for the 8th best record in the East. But since the Wizards own the tiebreaker, the Pacers will go into the playoffs with the 9th seed as they have officially won 5 of their last 10 games of the season. Alongside the Wizards, they finished the season 2 games behind the 7th place Boston Celtics and 1 game ahead of the 10th place Charlotte Hornets as they currently trail the Philadelphia 7 as they end the season trailing the first place Philadelphia 76ers by 15 games in the conference. With this 9th seed, they will face off against the Charlotte Hornets for their first matchup of the play-in series, and they will have to play against the loser of the Boston Celtics and the Washington Wizards because of how everything shaped out. With this loss, the Toronto Raptors are now 24-45. That is the 4th worst record in the Eastern Conference, as they have officially lost their last 7 games of the season, and 9 of their last 10. They finished the season 6 games behind the 10th place Charlotte Hornets, as they were officially eliminated from playoff competition, and they finished the season 22 games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers in the Eastern Conference. Jumping out to Washington, D.C., the Wizards were able to beat the Charlotte Hornets 115-110 to sneak their way into the playoff picture after starting the season 6-17. For the Charlotte Hornets, in this game, the Wizards would take over in the 4th quarter. They were down by 11 going into the quarter, but they would outscore the Hornets by 16 to pull off a 5-point win. I went back because it was a necessary part of information. Their starting shooting guard, Terry Rozier, would finish with 22 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, and 3 steals in 37 minutes, as he shot 8 for 19 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. And their elite starting point guard, LaMelo Ball, would finish with 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists in 33 minutes, as he shot 7 for 21 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. What was his final regular season game of his rookie season. And then for the Washington Wizards, their leading scorer was their elite starting shooting guard, Bradley Beal, who just most recently got beat out for the scoring title by Stephen Curry. He finished with 22 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists, and 3 steals in 37 minutes, as he shot 8 for 19, he shot 8 for 27 from the field, 3 for 11 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. And then their elite starting point guard, Russell Westbrook, in his final regular season game of what was probably one of his most impressive seasons ever, which saw him take over the triple-double crown. He would finish the season in that fashion. He finished with 23 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists in 40 minutes, as he shot 6 for 15 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, and 9 for 12 from the foul line on the night. With this win, the Washington Wizards are officially 34-38. They are tied with the Indiana Pacers for the 8th best record in the East, but since they own the tiebreaker, they now hold the 8th spot. They have now won their last 2 games and 6 of their last 10. They finished the season 2 games behind the 7th place Boston Celtics, and alongside the Pacers, they were 1 game ahead of the 10th place Charlotte Hornets. They have secured a spot for themselves in the Eastern Conference play-in tournament, and for the first game, they will have to compete against the Boston Celtics to see who will get the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference, as they finish the season trailing the Philadelphia 76ers by 15 games in the conference. With this loss, the Charlotte Hornets are now 33-39. They finished the season with the 10th best record in the Eastern Conference, as they officially lost their last 5 games and 7 of their last 10. They finished 1 game behind the 8th seed Wizards and 9th seed Indiana Pacers, and they finished 2 games ahead of the 11th place Chicago Bulls, as they finished the season 16 games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers. With this loss, they still currently sit in the play-in tournament. They have to play the Indiana Pacers in the first game to see who can face off against the loser between the Celtics and the Wizards, so they can possibly earn that 8th place spot. The only playoff spot they're in contention for is that 8th spot. But right now, following that, jumping out to Atlanta, the Atlanta Hawks hosted the Houston Rockets, and the Hawks were able to beat the Rockets 124-95. They would go on to outscore the Rockets by 18 points in the first half and 10 in the second in order to do so. For the Houston Rockets in this matchup, their leading scorer off the bench was their guard, Aaron Brooks. He finished with 18 points and 2 steals in 34 minutes, as he shot 6 for 19 from the field. All of his made attempts came from 3, as he was 6 for 18 from 3. And then in their starting lineup, their starting point guard, DJ Augustine, would finish with 18 points and 5 assists in 22 minutes, as he shot 5 for 11 from the field and 4 for 4 from the foul line in his final game of the season. For the Atlanta Hawks, their leading scorer was their starting power forward, their first-round pick, Onyeka Okongwu, out of USC, I believe. He finished with 21 points, 15 rebounds, and 2 steals, as well as 2 blocks in 33 minutes, as he shot 10 for 13 from the field on the night. And then alongside him, their elite starting point guard, Trae Young, would finish with 10 points, 3 rebounds, 9 assists, and 2 steals in 16 minutes as he shot 3 for 9 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Atlanta Hawks are now 41-31. They tied with the New York Knicks for the 4th best record in the Eastern Conference, but since the Knicks won the tiebreaker, the Knicks will officially get home court advantage over the Atlanta Hawks in their first playoff series. The Atlanta Hawks finished this season winning their last 4 games and 7 of their last 10. Alongside the Knicks, they finished 5 games behind the 3rd place Milwaukee Bucks and 1 game ahead of the 6th place Miami Heat in the conference as they trailed the Sixers by 8 games to finish. With this finish, they will now face off against the New York Knicks in the first round of the playoffs as the Knicks do get home court advantage. Just to give a sense of where the Hawks are. With this loss, the Houston Rockets finished the season 17-55. That was the worst record in the NBA as they officially lost 8 of their last 10 games of the season. They finished 16 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs, officially knocking them out of playoff contention. But of course, they will be one of the 4 teams that have the best chance of sneaking out a potential franchise change or in the lottery, just to give a sense of where they are. They finished 35 games behind the first place Utah Jazz as their next basketball game that will mean anything will be played in October of this year. Jumping out to San Antonio, the San Antonio Spurs hosted the Phoenix Suns. The Suns were able to beat the Spurs 123-121 after a third quarter in which they outscored San Antonio by 13. For the Spurs in this matchup, their leading scorer was their starting small forward, DeMar DeRozan out of USC. He finished with 23 points in 25 minutes as he shot 8 for 14 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3, and 6 for 7 from the foul line. And for the Phoenix Suns, their leading scorer will come off the bench as their shooting guard, Etuan Moore, would finish with 22 points of his own in 21 minutes as he would shoot 9 for 10 from the field, a perfect 2 for 2 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. And with this win, the Phoenix Suns would finish the season with a 51-21 record. That will go down as the second best record of the 2020-2021 season and the second best record in the Western Conference as they officially finished their season winning their last 3 games and 7 of their last 10, one of 2 teams to actually cross the 50-win threshold for the season. To end the season, they sat 1 game behind the first place Utah Jazz and 4 games ahead of the 3rd place Denver Nuggets and 4th place Los Angeles Clippers. With this win, they will face off against the winner between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors, as that is how the NBA play-in tournament works. And of course, with this loss, the San Antonio Spurs finished the season 33-39. That will go down as the 10th best record in the Western Conference for the season as they lost their last 4 games of the season and 8 of their last 10. They finished the season 5 games behind the 9th place Memphis Grizzlies and 2 games ahead of the 11th place New Orleans Pelicans and 12th place Sacramento Kings as they finished the season 19 full games behind the first place Utah Jazz. For their matchup, they'll have to face off against the Memphis Grizzlies for a chance at clinching the 8th seed in the playoff picture, but at the moment they are still in it. They are still alive. Jumping out to San Francisco, the Golden State Warriors were able to beat the Memphis Grizzlies 113-101. The difference would come in the 3rd quarter where the Warriors outscored the Grizzlies by 11. For the Grizzlies in this matchup, their leading scorer was their starting center, Jonas Valanciunas. He finished with 29 points and 16 rebounds in 36 minutes as he shot 12 for 15 from the field and 5 for 6 from the foul line. And then their elite starting point guard, John Morant, would finish with 16 points, 3 rebounds, and 9 assists in 38 minutes as he shot 7 for 21 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. And then for the Golden State Warriors, in a matchup that would secure them the 8th seed in the West, their leading scorer was their go-to starting point guard, Stephen Curry, who finished with 46 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists, and 7 turnovers in 40 minutes as he shot 16 for 36 from the field, 9 for 22 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line as he officially got the Warriors to the playoffs without Klay, even an 8th seed, and there's a very good chance that they could squeeze their way into the play-in tournament. Alongside him, their starting small forward, Andrew Wiggins, would finish with 21 points and 10 rebounds in 37 minutes as he shot 9 for 16 from the field, a perfect 2 for 2 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. And what was probably the most important game yesterday, the Golden State Warriors would finish the season 39-33, the 8th best record in the Western Conference, as they won their last 6 games of the season, 8 of their last 10. They finished 3 games behind the 6th seed Trailblazers and the 7th seed Los Angeles Lakers, and they sat 1 game ahead of the Memphis Grizzlies as they finished the season trailing the Jazz by 13 games in the conference. With this 8th seed, they will have to face off against the Los Angeles Lakers in their next matchup to see if they will get a chance at that 7th seed to face off against the Suns, or if they lose the first game and win the second game, they would face off against the Utah Jazz in the very first round, just to give a sense of where they are. And on the losing end of the stick, the Memphis Grizzlies finished the season 38-34, 1 game behind the Warriors, with the 9th best record in the West, as they lost their last game, but they've won 6 of their last 10 on the season. They finished 1 game behind the 8th place Golden State Warriors and 5 games ahead of the 10th place San Antonio Spurs in the Western Conference play-in playoff picture, and they trailed the Utah Jazz by 14 total games in the conference. With this loss, they will now go into the play-in tournament as a 9 seed. Their first matchup will be against San Antonio for a chance at the number 8 seed, where they could possibly play against the Utah Jazz, but they cannot possibly claim the 7th seed in the West as of right now. Jumping out to Brooklyn, the Brooklyn Nets hosted the Cleveland Cavaliers, and in the Cavaliers' final game of the season, the Nets would beat them 123-109 after the Nets would outscore the Cavs by 10 in the first quarter and by 12 in the third. For the Cavaliers, their leading scorers were their forwards. Their starting power forward, Dean Wade, would finish with 18 points and 8 rebounds in 35 minutes, as he would go on to shoot 7 for 14 from the field on the night. And then their starting small forward, their first-round pick, Isaac Okoro out of Auburn, would finish with 18 points in 34 minutes as he shot 6 for 16 from the field on the day. For the Brooklyn Nets, their leading scorer was their go-to starting power forward, Kevin Durant. He finished with 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 13 assists in 29 minutes as he shot 8 for 10 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. And alongside him in the starting lineup, their elite starting point guard out of Duke, Kyrie Irving, would finish with 17 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 blocks in 29 minutes as he shot 7 for 11 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from 3. With this win, the Brooklyn Nets are now 48-24 as they officially doubled their loss total. They finished with the second best record in the Eastern Conference, winning their last 5 games in 6 of their last 10. They finished 1 game below or behind the first place 76ers in the conference, and they finished 2 games ahead of the third place Milwaukee Bucks. With this win, they will face off against the winner between the Boston Celtics and the Washington Wizards in the first NBA play-in game, just to give a sense of where they sit and how their future could stack up. And then with this loss, the Cleveland Cavaliers finished the season 22-50 with the 3rd worst record in the Eastern Conference, and they tied with the Thunder for the fifth worst record in the NBA. So they might end up with the lottery pick. I'm not exactly sure, or they might end up with a top 4 chance at a lottery pick following this. As they have lost their last 2 games of the season, and they lost 9 of their last 10. They finished the season 11 games behind the 10th place Charlotte Hornets, and they finished the season 27 full games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers, as the Cavaliers' 2020-2021 campaign came to an end. Just to give a sense of where they are. They do not have a next game until October, November. Jumping out to Philadelphia, the 76ers would beat the Orlando Magic 128-117 after outscoring the Magic by 14 in the third. For the Magic in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their rookie point guard, Cole Anthony, who finished with 37 points and 8 rebounds alongside 6 turnovers in 38 minutes as he shot 10 for 25 from the field and a perfect 14 for 14 from the foul line on the night. And then for the Philadelphia 76ers, their leading scorer was their starting point guard, Tyrese Maxey, who finished with 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in 35 minutes as he shot 11 for 19 from the field, 3 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Philadelphia 76ers finished with the best record in the Eastern Conference and the 3rd best record in the NBA as they lost their last 2 games in 8 of their last 10. They officially finished 1 game ahead of the second place Brooklyn Nets. They finished 16 games ahead of the 10th place Charlotte Hornets, the team with the worst record in the playoff picture, and they officially finished with 29 games ahead of the 15th place Detroit Pistons, just to give a sense of where they finished. And with this, they will have to face off against the winner of the second play-in game to decide who they will face off with in the playoffs, just to get a sense of where they are. With this loss, the Orlando Magic finished the season 21-51. That is the second worst record in the Eastern Conference and the third worst record in the NBA, as they officially lost their last 7 games and 8 of their last 10. They finished the season 12 games behind the 10 seed Charlotte Hornets outside of the playoff picture. So, of course, they've been eliminated, and they will get a top 4 chance at landing the number 1 overall pick in the lottery. And at the same time, they finished 28 games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers. That's how their season, of course, is going to end. Jumping out to Detroit, the Detroit Pistons hosted the defending Eastern Conference champs Miami Heat, and the Heat would beat the Pistons 120-107 after they would outscore the Pistons by 19 points in the first quarter. For the Pistons, their leading scorer was their starting small forward, Saddiq Bey. He finished with 22 points and 5 rebounds in 37 minutes as he shot 7 for 21 from the field and 4 for 5 from the line. For the Miami Heat, their leading scorer was their starting power forward, Precious Achiuwa. He had 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 steals in 42 minutes as he shot 10 for 16 from the field. Their starting forward, Nemanja Bjelica, sorry if I butchered the name, he would finish with 21 points of his own, along with 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals in 38 minutes, as he shot 8 for 13 from the field, 4 for 6 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. And then off the bench, their shooting guard, Max Struss, would end up with 20 points of his own in 36 minutes as he would shoot 7 for 16 from the field and 3 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Miami Heat finished with the 6th best record in the Eastern Conference at 40-32 as they won 8 of their last 10 games of the season. They finished 1 game behind the 4th place New York Knicks and the 5th place Atlanta Hawks, and they finished 4 games ahead of the 7th seed Boston Celtics. As they finished 9 games behind the first place 76ers in the conference. With the 6th seed, they will have to face off against the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round of the playoffs this year. So, of course, that will be a highly anticipated matchup just to get a sense of where the Heat and the Bucks stand following this. And with this loss, the Detroit Pistons finished the season 20-52. That is the worst record in the Eastern Conference for the 2020-2021 season, as they lost their last 5 games and 9 of their last 10. They finished 13 games behind the 10th place Charlotte Hornets outside of the Eastern Conference playoff picture, and they finished 29 full games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers in the conference, as they will be one of the 4 teams with the best chances of getting the number 1 overall draft pick in the upcoming draft. Jumping out to Chicago, the Chicago Bulls were able to beat the Milwaukee Bucks 118-112 in what will be Chicago's final game of the season. The difference would come in the first quarter, where the Chicago Bulls outscored Milwaukee by 10. For the Bucks in this matchup, their leading scorer came off the bench as their small forward out of Louisville, Jordan Nwora, would finish with 34 points, 14 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 36 minutes off the bench. I might remind you, he shot 14 for 23 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the foul line off the bench for the last time. And then for the Bucks, their starting point guard Jeff Teague would finish with 23 points, 7 assists, and 3 steals in 34 minutes as he shot 5 for 11 from the field, a perfect 3 for 3 from 3, and 10 for 12 from the foul line on the night. For the Chicago Bulls, their leading scorer was their starting power forward, Thaddeus Young. He finished with 20 points and 7 rebounds alongside 3 blocks in 26 minutes as he shot 8 for 15 from the field and 4 for 6 from the foul line in the Bulls' last game of the season. With this win, the Chicago Bulls finished the season 31-41. That was the 5th worst record in the Eastern Conference as they won their 5 of their last 10 games of the season. They finished 2 games behind the 10th place Charlotte Hornets outside of the playoff picture. And as of course they are eliminated from playoff contention. So their next official NBA game won't take place till later this year. And then they finished 18 full games behind the first place Philadelphia 76ers, just to get a sense of where they finished. And with this loss, the Milwaukee Bucks finished the season with a 46-26 record, the 3rd best record in the Eastern Conference. Even with this loss, they won 8 of their last 10 games of the season. They finished 2 games behind the 2nd place Brooklyn Nets and 5 games ahead of the 4th place New York Knicks and 5th place Atlanta Hawks. Currently, or as they with the 3rd seed, they trail the 1st place Philadelphia 76ers by 3 games, and with the 3 seed, they will enter the playoffs facing off against the Miami Heat. They will host the Miami Heat for the first couple of games, and like I said earlier, that will be a heavily anticipated matchup coming up. Just to give a sense of where the Bucks are. Jumping out to Minneapolis, the Minnesota Timberwolves hosted the Dallas Mavericks in their final game of the season and were able to pull off a 136-121 win after outscoring Dallas by 16 in the first quarter. For the Mavericks in this matchup, their leading scorers would be their European duo. Their elite starting point guard Luka Doncic would finish with 18 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals in 21 minutes as he shot 6 for 13 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. And their starting center, Kristaps Porzingis, would finish with 18 points in 26 minutes as he shot 6 for 10 from the field, 4 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, their leading scorer would be their starting small forward and the number 1 overall pick from the 2020 NBA draft, Anthony Edwards. And in his final game of his rookie season, he would finish with 30 points and 2 blocks in 38 minutes as he shot 10 for 21 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. Their elite starting center, Karl Anthony Towns, finished with 23 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals as he fouled out in 31 minutes. But Karl Anthony Towns would shoot 6 for 12 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, and 10 for 11 from the foul line. And then their elite starting point guard, D'Angelo Russell, would finish with 23 points, 3 rebounds, 10 assists, and 3 steals in 36 minutes as D'Lo shot 8 for 19 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Minnesota Timberwolves finished their 2020-2021 season with a 23-49 record. That they finished with the 3rd worst record in the Western Conference as they won 5 of their last 10 games, actually. They finished 10 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs outside of the playoff picture. So, of course, they've been eliminated from playoff contention. And they finished the season 29 games behind the 1st place Utah Jazz, just to get a sense of where they sat, or where they currently sit with the end of the season. And with this loss, the Dallas Mavericks finished the season 42-30. They tied with the Portland Trailblazers for the 5th best record, and the Los Angeles Lakers for that matter, with the 5th best record in the Western Conference. But because they won the tiebreaker, they are the owners of the 5th seed as they won 7 of their last 10 games of the season. They finished 5 games behind the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Clippers, holding the 3 and 4 slots, and they finished 3 games ahead of the 8th seed Golden State Warriors, just to give a sense of where the Mavericks finished the season as they trail the Utah Jazz by 10 games at the conclusion of the season. Holding on to the 5th best record in the West, they will face off against the 4th seed Los Angeles Clippers going into the 2020 playoff bracket. And moving on to New Orleans, the New Orleans Pelicans hosted the defending NBA champs Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers were able to beat the Pelicans 110-98 after outscoring New Orleans by 11 in the 3rd. For the Pelicans, their leading scorer would be their starting center, Willy Hernangomez, who finished with 19 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 30 minutes as he shot 8 for 11 from the field and 3 for 5 from the foul line in the New Orleans Pelicans' final game of the season. And then for the Los Angeles Lakers, their leading scorer was their goated starting point guard, LeBron James. He finished with 25 points, 6 assists, and 3 steals in 27 minutes as he shot 11 for 22 from the field, 2 for 5 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. And then their elite starting power forward, Anthony Davis, would finish with 14 points and 5 rebounds in 30 minutes as he shot 5 for 12 from the field and 4 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the Los Angeles Lakers finished the season with a 42-30 record, the same record as the Mavericks and the Trailblazers. They are all tied for the 5th best record in the conference. But since the Mavericks and the Trailblazers get tiebreak priority over the Lakers finished with the 7th seed in the West. They finished the season winning their last 5 games and 6 of their last 10. They finished 5 games behind the 3rd seed Denver Nuggets and the 4th seed Los Angeles Clippers, and they finished 3 games ahead of the 8th place Golden State Warriors as they trailed the Utah Jazz by 10 games at the conclusion of the season. With the 7th seed, they'll have to face off against the Golden State Warriors in the first play-in game to see if they will get a chance to play the Suns. And if they lose the first game, they still have a chance of winning and playing against the Jazz in the first round. And then with this loss, the New Orleans Pelicans finished with a 31-41 record, tied with the Sacramento Kings for the fourth worst record in the Western Conference, as the Pelicans officially finished the season losing their last 4 games and 6 of their last 10. They finished 2 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs outside of the playoff picture, and they finished 21 games behind the first place Utah Jazz, as they have been officially eliminated from playoff contention, and they won't have to and they resume their play once the new season, the 2021-2022 NBA season, starts back up. Just to give a sense of where the Pelicans are. Jumping out to Oklahoma City, the Thunder were able to beat the Los Angeles Clippers 117-112 after outscoring the Clippers by 7 in the fourth quarter to come from behind and win. For the Clippers, their leading scorer would come off the bench, as their shooting guard Terrence Mann would finish with 19 points in 23 minutes, as he shot 7 for 8 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. And then for the Oklahoma City Thunder, their leading scorer will be their starting power forward, Alexei Pukusevsky. He finished with 29 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 turnovers in 41 minutes, as he shot 10 for 19 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3, and 3 for 4 from the foul line. Their small forward, Josh Hall, would finish with 25 points of his own in the Oklahoma City Thunder's final game of the season, as he would also add in 10 rebounds in 43 minutes, as he shot 11 for 21 from the field on the night. And then their starting center, Moses Brown, would finish with 24 points and 18 rebounds alongside 7 blocks in 38 minutes, as he shot 12 for 19 from the field on the night. With this win, the Oklahoma City Thunder finished the season with a 22-50 record. That was the second worst record in the Western Conference, as they are now tied for the fourth worst record in the NBA as a whole. They did win their last game of the season, but they lost 9 of their last 10. They finished the season 11 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs outside of the playoff picture, so of course they are eliminated from playoff contention, and they currently sit 30 games behind. They finished the season 30 games behind the first place Utah Jazz, as their next move will have to be in the offseason, as they are now drafting their possibly the next center of their franchise. Jumping out to Portland, the Portland Trailblazers hosted the Denver Nuggets, and the Trailblazers were able to beat the Nuggets 132-116 to earn a spot into the playoffs and not the play-in tournament. In this game, the difference would actually come in the first quarter, where the Trailblazers outscored the Nuggets by 21 points. For the Nuggets, their leading scorer came off the bench, actually, as their point guard, Marcus Howard, would finish with 23 points of his own, as he finished the season with 2.3 points per game, by the way, but he finished with 23 points in 32 minutes, as he shot 8 for 17 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the line. And then their elite starting center, Nikola Jokic, would finish with 21 points in 17 minutes, as well as 3 rebounds and a couple of assists. He shot 9 for 17 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. And then for the Portland Trailblazers in this matchup, their leading scorer would be their starting shooting guard, CJ McCollum. McCollum would finish with 24 points and 5 assists in 31 minutes, as he shot 9 for 17 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and 1 for 1 from the foul line. Alongside him, their elite starting point guard, Damian Lillard, out of Weber State, would finish with 22 points, 3 rebounds, and 10 assists in 31 minutes, as Dame Dollar shot 7 for 13 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. And then their starting center, Yusuf Nurkic, would finish with 20 points, 13 rebounds, and a couple of blocks in 20 minutes, as he shot 8 for 10 from the field, 1 for 1 from 3, and then 3 for 6 from the foul line on the night. With this win, the Portland Trailblazers finished the 2020-2021 season they tied with the Mavericks and the Lakers for the 5th best record, but due to tiebreakers, they finished below the Mavericks and above the Lakers, so they will hold on. They finished with the 6th seed in the Western Conference, as they won 8 of their last 10 games. Alongside the Mavericks and the Lakers, they finished 5 games behind the 3rd seed Denver Nuggets and the 4th seed Los Angeles Clippers, and they finished 3 games ahead of the 8th seed Golden State Warriors. To give a sense of where they finished 10 games also behind the 1st place Utah Jazz in the conference, as with the 6th seed, they will face off against the Denver Nuggets, actually, in a rematch, and this game will be, the first 2 games will be in Denver as opposed to Portland this time. And with this loss, the Denver Nuggets finished the season with a 47-25 record, tied with the Los Angeles Clippers for the third best record in the West. With the tiebreaker, the Nuggets will officially claim the third best record in the West as they won 6 of their last 10 games of the season. They finished 4 games behind the second place Phoenix Suns, and they finished 5 games ahead of the 5th place Dallas Mavericks, the 6th place Portland Trailblazers, and the 7th place Los Angeles Lakers, as they trailed the Utah Jazz by 5 games in the conference. Officially, with this win or with this loss, they will have their next matchup will be against the Portland Trailblazers, but their first 2 games will be in Portland, like I just said, as the Nuggets they hold the home court advantage in that series. Last but not least, jumping out to Sacktown, the Sacramento Kings hosted the Utah Jazz, and the Jazz would finish the season with the best record in the entire NBA. But first, they would beat the Sacramento Kings 121-99 to actually secure that, because the Suns, had they lost, the Suns would have had the same record as them. So, of course, this was kind of a must-win if they really wanted it, after they outscored the Sacramento Kings by 15 points in the first half. For the Kings, their leading scorer would be their it would be their guard off the bench, Terrence Jones. I missed him. He had 20 points and 2 steals in 32 minutes as he shot 8 for 14 from the field and 2 for 2 from the foul line on the night. And then for the Utah Jazz in this game, their leading scorer will come off the bench as their point guard and 6-man potential nominee. Jordan Clarkson would finish with 33 points and 2 steals in 32 minutes as he shot 11 for 20 from the field, 6 for 12 from 3, and a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. Alongside him in their starting lineup, their elite starting center, Rudy Gobert, would finish with 13 points, 16 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 28 minutes as he shot 6 for 8 from the field and 1 for 4 from the foul line on the night. And their all-star point guard, Mike Conley, would finish his first all-star season, finishing with 11 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, and 3 steals in 22 minutes as he shot 4 for 10 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from 3. With this win, the Utah Jazz finished the season with the best record in the NBA at 52-20. The only other team to win 50 games was the Phoenix Suns. The Jazz would finish the season winning their last 2 games and 7 of their last 10. They finished 1 game ahead of the second-place Phoenix Suns, just to show how close that race was. They finished 19 games ahead of the 10th place San Antonio Spurs within the playoff picture. And then they finished 35 games ahead of the last place Houston Rockets, just to show how big the gap was between the NBA's best record and the NBA's worst record. And in their first matchup, they will play against the winner of the third play-in game. So, of course, they will have to wait on that. And then for the Sacramento Kings, with this loss, finished with a 31-41 record, tied with the New Orleans Pelicans for the 4th worst record in the Western Conference, as they lost their last 3 games, but they won 6 of their last 10 games in the season. They've officially finished 2 games behind the 10th place San Antonio Spurs outside of the Western Conference playoff picture, so the Kings have officially been eliminated from playoff competition. They are one of the 10 so far, and they currently sit 21 full games behind the first place Utah Jazz, who finished the season. That is what the NBA season is officially looking like. There are no games today, but the play-in series will officially start tomorrow. And once we get to tomorrow, I'll officially preview how those games are going to work out. And then staying within the context of the NBA, but jumping to the NHL, just to give a quick look at what's going on with hockey. Hockey's in a very weird situation where every team has to play in their own division, and at the same time, they don't want people to get rusty. So they have started playoff series for some, but at the same time, they're still trying to finish like regular season games. The only regular season game happened up in Canada between 2 teams that aren't even competing for the North Division anymore, but they still have to finish off the season. The Vancouver Canucks will host the Calgary Flames, and the Flames will beat the Canucks 6-5 in overtime to pick up this win. And with this win, the Calgary Flames are currently holding on to the 5th best record in the North as they trail the Maple Leafs by 24 games in the table. And then looking out to what's going on in the playoffs themselves, in the Eastern Round Game 1, the New York Islanders would beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-3 to pick up a 1-0 series lead. Jumping out to Las Vegas, the Golden Knights would host the Minnesota Wild for that Game 1 in what would be a Western Conference 2-3 series. And in this game, the Wild will win the first game in overtime off of their center Eriksson. game-winning goal. And with this win, the third seed Minnesota Wild now lead the series 1-0 over the second seed Golden Knights. And then jumping out to the Central Division, last but not least, the Florida Panthers, who currently hold the second seed in the NHL Central Division, they host the Tampa Bay Lightning, the third seed. And the third seed Lightning would beat the Panthers 5-4. And with this win, the Tampa Bay Lightning now hold a 1-0 series going into Game 2. Looking out to what's going on today for hockey, it will be only playoff games. At 7:30, it will be Game 2 in the Eastern Division between the second seed Washington Capitals and the third seed Boston Bruins. The Capitals currently lead this series 1-0, so of course, a lot of eyes are going to be on this game. At 8 o'clock, the Carolina Hurricanes are going to host the Nashville Predators on CNBC, as that is officially the number 1 versus number 4 seed in that division, as the Hurricanes hold the number 1 seed. And then last but not least, at 10 o'clock, the third playoff game of the night will be in Denver, as the Colorado Avalanche will host the St. Louis Blues, as the Colorado Avalanche are currently holding on to the West Division's number 1 record, as they won the tiebreaker over the Golden Knights. So this will be a very interesting game to watch. But that is how the NHL playoffs are currently unfolding at the moment, as the North, I believe, are still waiting for their teams to finish, even though their 4 teams have already virtually clinched it. But that's kind of what's going on with the NHL right now. Sticking within the States, but really quickly jumping to what's going on in the MLB. Starting off in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh Pirates would host the San Francisco Giants, and the Giants would end up beating the Pirates 4-1 after they scored 2 of their runs in the 9th inning to get some insurance. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, the start and the loss would end up going to Mitch Keller. Keller would allow 2 earned runs in 5 innings pitched. He struck out 8 on the day. With this loss, Mitch Keller is now 2-5 as a starting pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Their second baseman, Adam Frazier, would go 2-4, and then their third baseman, Eric Gonzalez, would end up going 2-4 for himself. For the San Francisco Giants, the win would be given to Alex Wood. Wood would allow 1 earned run in 6 innings pitched. He allowed 8 hits, by the way, and 6 strikeouts. With this win, he's 5-0. The relief pitchers over the next 3 innings would not allow a hit or a run, so good outing from them. And the save, of course, would be given to Tyler Rogers. Rogers would allow no earned runs in the inning that he pitches. He picked up his 4th save of the season. In their batting lineup, their catcher, former National League MVP Buster Posey, would go 3-4. And then their second baseman, Mauricio Dubon, would be the only other player with more than 1 hit, as he went 2-4 on the day. With this win, the San Francisco Giants are now 24-16. That is the best record in the National League West, and that is the best win percentage in the National League as a whole, just to give a sense of where they stand. But with this win, they currently sit half a game ahead of the San Diego Padres, who have the second best record within their own division. With this loss, the Pittsburgh Pirates are now 17-23. That is the worst record in the National League Central, as they now trail the St. Louis Cardinals by 5.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles hosted the New York Yankees, and the Orioles were able to beat the Yankees 10-6 after they scored 6 runs in the first 4 innings against the Yanks. For the Yanks in this matchup, the start will be given to Jordan Montgomery. Montgomery would allow 5 earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he struck out 4. The loss, however, would be given to their first relief pitcher, Michael King. King would allow 1 earned run in 2 innings pitched as he was unable to strike out a batter. With this loss, King is 0-1 as a relief pitcher. Their first baseman, Luke Voit, would go 2-5 on the day. Their second baseman, DJ LeMay, their elite second baseman, DJ LeMay, who would go 1-3 with 2 walks, an RBI, and a run on the day. Their elite designated hitter, Aaron Judge, would go 2-3 with an RBI and 2 runs, as Judge hit his 12th home run of the season. And then their right fielder, Clint Frazier, would end up going 2-4 with an RBI and 2 runs, as he hit his 4th home run of the season. For the Baltimore Orioles, the start would be given to Adam Pluko. Pluko would allow 4 earned runs in 1 inning pitched, as he was unable to strike out a batter. The win would be given to their first relief pitcher, who in this matchup was Bruce Zimmerman. Zimmerman would allow 1 earned run in 5.2 innings pitched, as he struck out 6 on the day. With this win, he is now 2-3 as a relief pitcher. In their batting lineup, their first baseman, Ryan Mountcastle, will go 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and a run as he hit his 8th home run of the season. And the only other player for the Orioles with more than one hit was their third baseman, Michael Franco. He went 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as Franco hit his 8th home run of the season as well. With this win, the Baltimore Orioles are currently they are 17-23. That is the worst record in the American League East as they currently trail the Red Sox by 7 games in the division. With this loss, the New York Yankees are now 22-18. That is the third best record in the American League East as they now trail the Boston Red Sox by 2 games in the division. Jumping out to Tampa, the Toronto Blue Jays were able to host the Philadelphia Phillies and pull off a 10-8 win after they scored 8 runs in the first 3 innings. The Blue Jays would try to come back in the later innings, the Phillies would try to come back in the later innings, but it wouldn't be enough. The Blue Jays scored 8 in the first 3 innings. For the Philadelphia Phillies, the start and the loss will go to Chase Anderson. He allowed 7 earned runs in 1.1 innings pitched, as he was unable to strike out a single batter on the day. With this loss, Chase Anderson is now 1-1 as a starting pitcher for the Philadelphia Phillies. In their lineup, their second baseman, Gene Segura, will go 2 for 4 with a run. Their third baseman, Alec Bohm, will go 2 for 5 with an RBI and a run for himself. And then their left fielder, Brad Miller, would end up going 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their center fielder, Odubel Herrera, will go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run for himself. And then their shortstop, Nick Matone, will go 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his first 2 home runs of the season. For the Toronto Blue Jays, however, the win in the start will go to Robbie Ray. Ray would allow 4 earned runs and 5.2 innings pitched. He struck out 9 on the day. With this win, Robbie Ray is 2-1 as the starting pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. Their second baseman, Marcus Semien, would end up going 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit 2 home runs on the last night. He now has 7 on the season. Their shortstop, Bo Bichette, would end up going 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as Bo Bichette hit his 9th home run of the season as well. Their elite first baseman, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., will go 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as Guerrero hit his 11th home run of the season yesterday. Their left fielder, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., would go 2 for 5 with a run. And then their catcher, Danny Jansen, would end up going 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Toronto Blue Jays are now 22-17. That is the second best record in the American League East as they now trail the Boston Red Sox by 1.5 games. With this loss, the Philadelphia Phillies are now 21-20. That is the second best record in the National League East as they now trail the New York Mets by 0.5 game in the division. Jumping out to Boston, the Boston Red Sox hosted the Los Angeles Angels, and the Angels would actually beat the Red Sox 6-5 off of a 2-run home run in the 9th inning from Shohei Ohtani. For the Boston Red Sox, the start would be given to Nathan Eovaldi, who allowed 4 earned runs in 5 innings pitched. He struck out 6 on the day. The loss and the blown save would be given to the Red Sox closer, Matt Barnes. He allowed 2 earned runs in 1.1 innings pitched. He struck out 2. With this loss, he is now 1-1 as a relief pitcher this season. Their second baseman, Michael Chavez, would end up going 2 for 5 with a run on the day, and the only other player with more than 1 hit for the Boston Red Sox was their catcher, Kevin Plevecki. He would finish 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run on the day, as Plevecki hit his first home run of the season yesterday. For the Los Angeles Angels, the start will be given to Jose Quintana. Quintana would allow 3 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched. He struck out 7. The win would be given to their relief pitcher, Raisel Iglesias. Iglesias would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitches. He struck out 1. With this win, Iglesias is now 2-2 as a relief pitcher, and the save was given to Mike Mayers. Mayers would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he walked 2 but struck out 3 on the night. And then in their batting lineup, the only player with more than 1 hit was their first baseman, Jared Walsh. Not the only one. He went 3 for 4 on the day, and then their left fielder, Phil Gosselin, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And then with this win, the Los Angeles Angels are now 17-22. That I believe is the second worst, the 4th best record in the American League West, as they now trail the Oakland Athletics by 6.5 games in the division. And with this loss, the Boston Red Sox are now 25-17. That is still the best record in the American League East, as they currently sit 1.5 games ahead of the Toronto Blue Jays. They are currently tied with the Oakland Athletics for the most wins in the American League as well. Jumping out to Detroit, the Detroit Tigers hosted the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs were able to beat the Tigers in Detroit 5-1 after they scored their 5 runs before the Tigers scored their only run in the ninth. For the Tigers, the start and the loss will be given to Matthew Boyd. He allowed 4 earned runs in 6 innings pitched. He struck out 8. With this loss, he is now 2-4 as a starting pitcher. Their third baseman, Harold Castro, would end up going 2-for-4 with a run on the day. And then their elite designated hitter and future Hall of Famer, Miguel Cabrera, will go 2-for-4 on the day. For the Chicago Cubs, the start and the win was given to Kyle Hendricks. Hendricks would allow 1 earned run in 8 innings pitched. He struck out 8. With this win, he is now 3-4 as the starting pitcher for the Chicago Cubs. Their first baseman, Anthony Rizzo, would go 2-for-5. Their elite shortstop, Javier Baez, would also go 2-for-5. And then their center fielder, Ian Happ, will go 3-for-4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 3rd home run of the season yesterday. With this win, the Chicago Cubs are now 19-20. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central as they now trail the St. Louis Cardinals by 3 games in the division. With this loss, the Detroit Tigers are now 14-26. That is the 4th best record in the American League Central as they now sit 10.5 games behind the first place Chicago White Sox in the division. Jumping out to Tampa, the Tampa Bay Rays were able to beat the New York Mets 7-1, giving Fleming his 3rd win of the season in relief. For the this time he did it as a starter, but for the New York Mets, the start and the loss will be given to Marcus Stroman. He allowed 5 earned runs in 6 innings pitches. He was only able to strike out 1 batter on the day. With this loss, Marcus Stroman is 3-4 on the season. And the New York Mets batting lineup, no one on the team was able to get more than 1 hit. A lot of that can be chalked up to Tampa Bay pitching. On the starting lineup, the starting end of that, it was their starting pitcher, Josh Fleming. Josh Fleming would allow no earned runs in 5 innings pitches. He struck out 5. With this win, he is now 3-3 as a Tampa Bay Rays starting pitcher. And then in their batting lineup, their first baseman, Ji-Man Choi, would end up going 3-for-5 with an RBI and a run on the day. And then their right fielder, Manuel Margot, would go through 2-for-4 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 4th home run of the season. And then their shortstop, Willy Adames, would go 2-for-3 with 2 RBIs and a run as he went on to hit his 5th home run of the season for the Tampa Bay Rays. With this win, the Rays are now 23-19. That is the 4th best record in the American League win percentage-wise, and they currently trail the Boston Red Sox by 2 games in the division. And then with this loss, the New York Mets are currently 18-16. That is the best record in the National League East, and they currently sit half a game ahead of the 2nd-place Philadelphia Phillies at the moment. Jumping out to Houston, the Astros hosted the Texas Rangers, and the Astros were able to beat the Rangers 6-2 after scoring 4 runs in the 8th inning to break the tie. Big game for the Astros for here. For the Rangers, the start will be given to Kyle Gibson, who allowed 2 earned runs in 7 innings pitches. He struck out 3 on the day. With this loss, they chalked it up to the relief pitcher, Joely Rodriguez. He would allow 4 earned runs in .2 innings pitches. He was unable to strike out a batter. With this loss, Rodriguez is 1-2 as a relief pitcher, and the only player on the team that had more than 1 hit in their lineup was their left fielder, David Dahl. He went 2-for-4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 4th home run of the season yesterday. The only 2 runs came from his home run. For the Houston Astros, the start will be given to Lance McCullers Jr. He allowed no earned runs in 6 innings pitches. He struck out 5. The win, however, will be given to their second relief pitcher, who in this matchup would be Brooks Raley. Raley would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitches. He struck out all 3 batters. With this win, he is now 2-2 as a relief pitcher. Their elite second baseman, Jose Altuve, would go 2-for-3 with a run. And the only other player for the Astros that had more than 1 hit was their elite third baseman, Alex Bregman, who went 2-for-4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, the Houston Astros are now 24-17. That is currently the 2nd best record in the American League West, as they now trail the Oakland Athletics by half a game in the division. With this loss, the Texas Rangers are now 18-24. That is the worst record in the division, as they currently trail the first place Oakland Athletics by 7 games in the division. Jumping out to Minneapolis, speaking of Oakland, the Twins hosted the Athletics, and the Athletics were able to beat the Twins thanks to a big run in the 9th off of a wild pitch, to be honest. For the Minnesota Twins, the start would be given to Kenta Maeda, who allowed 3 earned runs in 4 innings pitches. He struck out 2. The loss would be given to their closer, Taylor Rogers. Rogers would go on to allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitch as he struck out 2, he allowed 1 run, it wasn't earned. With this loss, he is now 0-2 as a relief pitcher this season. And then their right fielder, who in this matchup was Trevor Larnach, he would go 3-for-5 with a run. And then the only other player on their team with more than one hit was their center fielder, Max Kepler, who went 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs to hit his 4th home run of the season. For the Oakland Athletics, the start will be given to Chris Bassett. Chris Bassett would allow 4 earned runs in 5 innings pitches. He struck out 4. The win, however, will be given to the Oakland Athletics saver, Lou Trevino. Trevino would allow no earned runs in 1.1 inning pitched. With this win, he is now 2-1 as a relief pitcher on the season. Their left fielder, Mark Canha, will go 2 for 5 with a run on the day. Their first baseman, Matt Olson, will go 2 for 4 with a run on the day. Their elite third baseman, Matt Chapman, will go 3 for 4 with 3 RBIs. And then their catcher, Sean Murphy, will go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. With this win, with this win, the Oakland Athletics are now 25-17. That is technically the best record in the American League West, as they sit half a game behind half a game ahead of the second place Houston Astros within the division. With this loss, the Minnesota Twins are now 13-25. That is the worst record in the American League Central, as they now trail the Chicago White Sox by 10.5 games in their division. Speaking of the White Sox hosted the Kansas City Royals and were able to pull up a 4-3 win off of a walk-off, a walk-off wild pitch. That would lead Jose Abreu, the former American League MVP, to score. For the Kansas City Royals in this matchup, the start was given to Brady Singer. Singer allowed 2 earned runs in 6.1 innings pitched. He struck out 7. And then the blown save and the loss will be given to Wade Davis. Davis allowed 2 earned runs in 2.2 innings pitched, as he was unable to strike out a batter. With this loss, Davis is 0-2 as a relief pitcher on the season. Their left fielder, Andrew Benintendi, would end up going 2 for 4, as he was the only player that had more than one hit on the Kansas City Royals. For the Chicago White Sox, on the other hand, Dylan Cease would get the start. He allowed no earned runs in 5.2 innings pitches. He struck out 3. The win, however, will be given to their relief pitcher, Matt Foster. Foster would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitches. He struck out 2. With this win, he is now 2-1 as a relief pitcher. Their elite shortstop, Tim Anderson, would go 3 for 5 with 2 runs. Their elite first baseman, Jose Abreu, would go 2 for 4 with a run. And with this win, the Chicago White Sox are now 24-15. That is record-wise, or I guess win percentage-wise, the best record in the major leagues, as they currently sit 2.5 games ahead of the second-place Cleveland Indians at the moment. And with this loss, the Kansas City Royals are officially 18-22. That is the third best record in the American League Central, as they currently trail the Chicago White Sox by 6.5 games, just to give a sense of where the Royals are. Just looking out to Milwaukee, the Milwaukee Brewers would beat the Atlanta Braves 10-9 after the Braves would score 9 runs in the last 3 innings, but it wouldn't be enough for the Braves. The start and the loss would go to Huascar Ynoa. He would allow 5 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched. He struck out 6. With this loss, Ynoa is now 4-2 as a starting pitcher for the Braves. Their shortstop, Dansby Swanson, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs on the day. Their elite first baseman, reigning National League MVP, Freddie Freeman, would go 1 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs, as he would hit his 3rd grand slam of his career. And then alongside these guys, their third baseman, Austin Riley, would go 2 for 4 with a run as well. For the Milwaukee Brewers, the start and the win would go to Freddie Peralta. Freddie Peralta would allow no earned runs in 6 innings pitched. He struck out 8. With this win, Freddie Peralta is now 4-1 on the season. Their elite relief pitcher, Devin Williams, the reigning National League Rookie of the Year, would allow 1 earned run in 1 inning pitches. He struck out 2. And then their elite closer, Josh Hader, would strike out 1 in 1 inning. Or he would allow 1 earned run in 1 inning pitch, as he struck out 2. With this save, Josh Hader now has 9 on the season. In their batting lineup, their second baseman, Colton Wong, will go 3 for 5 with 3 runs. Their catcher, Omar Narvaez would go 3 for 4 with an RBI. Their center fielder, Lorenzo King, will go 3 for 4 with 2 runs and 2 RBIs for himself. And with this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are now 21-20. That is currently the second best record in the National League Central, as they currently trail the St. Louis Cardinals by 2 games. And with this loss, the Atlanta Braves are now 19-21. That is the third best record in the National League East, as they now trail the New York Mets by 2 games in the division. Jumping out to Colorado, the Colorado Rockies hosted the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds were actually successfully able to pull off a comeback. Going into the 8th, the Rockies were up 6-1, and the Reds would score 6 in the final innings to pick up their 19th win of the season. For the Colorado Rockies, Antonio Senzatella would get the start. He allowed 1 earned run in 7 innings pitches. He struck out 3. The blown save and the loss, however, will be given to Mccollum, their relief pitcher, who allowed 2 earned runs in .2 innings pitched. With this loss, he is now 1-2 as a relief pitcher this season. Their first baseman, Connor Joe, would end up going 3 for 5 with a run. With an RBI, Their second baseman, Ryan McMahon, would go 2 for 5 with a run. Their third baseman, Josh Fuentes, would go 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. And then their right fielder, Jonathan Daza, would end up going 2 for 4 on the day, as he's been a very hot bat as of late. And then jumping out to Cincinnati, the start would be, of course, given to Jeff Hoffman. Jeff Hoffman would allow 2 earned runs and 5 total in 4 innings pitches. He struck out 5. The win, however, will be given to Cincinnati relief pitcher Sean Doolittle. Doolittle would allow 1 earned run. He would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitches. He struck out 2. With this win, Doolittle is now 3-0 as a relief pitcher on the season. And then their left fielder, Shogo Akiyama, would end up going 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs on the day. With this win, the Cincinnati Reds are officially 19-19. That is the third best record in the National League Central, as they currently trail the St. Louis Cardinals by 2.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Colorado Rockies are now 15-26. That is the worst record in the National League West, as they currently trail the San Francisco Giants by 9.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Arizona, the Arizona Diamondbacks hosted the Washington Nationals, the 2019 World Series champs. And in a 3rd-run, 8th inning, the Washington Nationals would score all 3 of the runs in the game as they beat the Diamondbacks 3-0. For the Arizona Diamondbacks, the start will be given to Luke Weaver. He allowed no earned runs in 4 innings pitches. He struck out 3. The loss, however, will be given to their third relief pitcher, Stephon Crichton. Crichton would allow 3 earned runs in 1 inning pitched. With this loss, he is now 0-2 on the season. And then for the Washington Nationals, the start and the win will be given to Eric Fedde. Fedde would allow no earned runs in 7 innings pitches. He struck out 4 on the day. With this win, he is now 3-4 on the season, as Brad Hand picked up his 4th save. He would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitches. He struck out 2. That's his 4th save of the season. Their shortstop, Trey Turner, would go 3 for 4 with an RBI. Their left fielder, Kyle Schwarber, would go 2 for 4 with an RBI as well. With this win, the Washington Nationals are now 16-20. That is the worst record in the National League East, as they currently trail the New York Mets by 3 games in the division. And with this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are now 18-23. That is the 4th worst record in the National League West, as they currently trail the San Francisco Giants by 6.5 games in the division, just to get a sense of where the Diamondbacks are. Jumping out to Seattle, the Seattle Mariners hosted the Cleveland Indians, as they were able to pull up a 3-2 win, scoring all 3 of their runs in the first 3 innings. For the Cleveland Indians, the start and the loss will go to their elite starting pitcher, reigning American League Cy Young winner and Triple Crown winner, Shane Bieber, who allowed 3 earned runs in 4.2 innings pitched. He struck out 7. With this loss, Shane Bieber is now 4-3 on the season. Their second baseman, Cesar Hernandez, will be the only player who had more than 1 hit, and he would go 2 for 5 on the day. For the Seattle Mariners, of course, great pitching on their part. The start, however, would be given to Robert Duggar. Duggar would allow no earned runs in 3 innings pitches. He struck out 4. The win would be given to the first relief pitcher, Paul Sewald. Sewald would allow no earned runs in 2 innings pitches. He struck out 4. With this win, Sewald is now 1-0 as a relief pitcher. Their right fielder, Mitch Haniger, will go 2 for 2 with 2 walks and 2 runs on the day. Their center fielder, Kyle Lewis, will be the only other player with more than 1 hit, as he went 2 for 2 with 2 walks, and he finished with an RBI. With this win, these Seattle Mariners are officially 21-20. That is the 3rd best record in the American League West, as they currently trail the Oakland Athletics by 3.5 games in the division. With this loss, the Cleveland Indians are now 21-17. That is the 2nd best record in the American League Central, as they currently trail the Chicago White Sox by 2.5 games in the division. Jumping out to Los Angeles, the Dodgers hosted the Marlins, and the Marlins were able to beat the Dodgers 3-2 after the Dodgers put up 2 in the 2nd inning. And then it was a 3-run home run from Adam Duvall that would give Miami their win. For the Dodgers, the start would be given to their young pitcher, Jimmy Nelson. well, not young. Well, 31 is still pretty young by most standards. He would allow no earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched. He struck out 3 on the day. And then their third relief pitcher, who in this game would be Edwin Uceta. Edwin Uceta would pick up the loss and his first blown save of the season. He would allow 3 total runs in 3 innings pitched. He struck out 4. That's his first blown save of the season, and with this loss, he is now 0-2 as a relief pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers. For the Miami Marlins, the start in the win will go to Pablo Lopez, who allowed 2 earned runs in 5 innings pitched. He struck out 3 on the day. With this win, Pablo Lopez is now 1-3 as a starting pitcher on the season. And then the win will be given to their relief pitcher, Yimi Garcia. Garcia would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched as he was able to strike out 1 batter. That's his 7th save of the season, like I just said. For their batting lineup, their shortstop, Jazz Chisholm Jr., would go 2 for 5 with a run. He was the only player with more than 1 hit. And then their right fielder, Adam Duvall, formerly of the Braves, would go 1 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run. With this win, the Miami Marlins are now 18-22. That is currently the 4th best record in the National League East as they trailed the New York Mets by 3 games in the division. With this loss, the Los Angeles Dodgers are now 22-18. That is the 3rd best record in the Western Conference, in the NL West, as they currently trail the San Francisco Giants by 2 games in the division. And then last but not least, in San Diego, the San Diego Padres hosted the St. Louis Cardinals and were able to pull off a 5-3 win to come back from behind and pick up their 24th win. For the St. Louis Cardinals, the start and the loss will go to Kwang Hyun Kim. Kim would allow 1 earned run and 4 total runs in 3.1 innings pitched. He struck out 3. With this loss, Kim is now 1-1 as a relief pitcher on the season. Their right fielder, Dylan Carlson, would end up going 2 for 4 with a run. Their elite third baseman, Nolan Arenado, would go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as well, as he would hit his 9th home run of the season. And then for the San Diego Padres, the start would be made by their starting pitcher, Ryan Weathers. Weathers would allow 2 earned runs and 4 innings pitched. He was unable to strike out a batter. The win was given to their first relief pitcher, Dinelson Lamet, who would allow 1 earned run and 2 innings pitched. He struck out 2. The save will be given to Mark Melancon, the former Braves closer, as he would allow no earned runs in 1 inning pitched, as Melancon now has 14 saves on the season. Nobody on the Padres finished with more than 1 hit on the day, but regardless, with this win, the San Diego Padres are now 24-17. That is the 2nd best record in the National League West as they now trail the San Francisco Giants by half a game. With this loss, the San Diego Padres are now 23-18. That is the best record in the National League Central as they currently sit 2 games ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers, just to get a sense of where the San Diego Padres and the St. Louis Cardinals are currently sitting after this game. Those are all the games from yesterday, and that is definitely going to shape how the MLB is looking, especially today. Looking at the matchups that are going to be going on, because today is Sunday, so it should be a lot more, yesterday was Sunday, today is Monday, so a lot more night games. It looks as though the only prime time game is going to be on ESPN, as Max Fried and the Atlanta Braves will host Taijuan Walker and the New York Mets on ESPN. And then at 10:10, the Seattle Mariners host the Detroit Tigers on ESPN Plus as Yusei Kikuchi hosts Casey Mize. Outside of the games on primetime, at 6:40, Sonny Gray and the Cincinnati Reds are going to host Logan Webb and the San Francisco Giants. At 7:40, J.A. Happ and the Minnesota Twins are going to host Dallas Keuchel and the Chicago White Sox. At the same time, Adbert Alzolay and the Chicago Cubs are going to host John Lester and the Washington Nationals. At 8:05, Jordan Lyles and the Texas Rangers are going to host the New York Yankees, led by their elite starting pitcher, Garrett Cole. At 9:38, the Patrick Sandoval and the Los Angeles Angels are going to host Sam Hentges and the Cleveland Indians. At 10:10, the Los Angeles Dodgers, led by their elite starting pitcher Walker Buehler, are going to host Madison Bumgarner and the Arizona Diamondbacks. At 10:10, the San Diego Padres, led by their elite starting pitcher Yu Darvish, will host John Gray and the Colorado Rockies. And that is what the MLB is shaping up as we transition into today. And then last but not least, taking a step off the continent just to check what's been going on in the world of soccer following yesterday's very consequential results. Starting off with UEFA Women's Champions League, of course, Barcelona was able to beat Chelsea. So in order to give Chelsea their second finals loss as a club in this week, actually. But jumping out to the teams that kind of matter in the Premier League, Tottenham Hotspur were able to beat Wolverhampton 2-0 as their elite English striker Harry Kane was scored in the 45th minute. With this win, Tottenham Hotspur is temporarily holding on to the sixth best record in the Prem. They are tied with West Ham, but of course, a win in their last two games could be very great for them. Jumping out to West Brom, Liverpool was able to beat West Brom 2-1 as the first goal will come from their elite Egyptian forward Mo Salah to tie the game in the 33rd minute as he scored his 20th goal of the Premier League, I believe, as well. And then their elite goalie, Alisson Becker, would finish with the header to get Liverpool into Europa League contention, or just 1 point behind Chelsea at the moment, just to keep their their Champions League hopes alive. They currently hold the fifth best record in the Prem, 1 point behind Chelsea and 4 points ahead of Tottenham. It would be very imperative for Liverpool to win their last two games if they are to have a hope of competing in Champions League next season. Looking out into Germany, Borussia Dortmund was able to beat Mainz 3-1 to get another game to cement their Champions League spot. Their second goal will come from Marco Reus. And regardless, in this win, looking at to how Germany is looking, Borussia Dortmund now holds the third best record as they are now tied with Wolfsburg. As Wolfsburg came off of a loss against RB Leipzig yesterday. They would come off of a draw. And in this draw, Borussia Dortmund would tie Wolfsburg for the third best record with 1 game left. So they have officially clinched a spot in Champions League with this win, which was a very big win for the club. And then really quick, and looking out to Italian soccer, AC Milan hosted Cagliari, as of course that game ended in a draw. AC Milan currently holds on to the fourth best record in Serie A, as they now sit 1 point ahead of Juventus. They are tied with Napoli, and they sit 2 points behind Atalanta with one more game left in Serie A. So this looks pretty serious. And then jumping out to Spain, because the top three teams in Spain played yesterday, starting with the number one. Atletico Madrid was able to beat Osasuna at home as their second goal to get them to put them ahead would come from their elite Uruguayan striker Luis Suarez. With this win, Atletico Madrid now sits 2 points ahead of second place Real Madrid. Real Madrid sitting here after Real Madrid was able to beat Athletic Bilbao yesterday 1-0. Their only goal coming from Nacho in the 68th minute. If Atletico Madrid ties or loses, there is a very realistic chance that Real Madrid could take the top of the table, because I believe Real Madrid won the head-to-head. And then looking at the third best team in La Liga, Barcelona would finish with a 2-1 defeat to Celta Vigo. Their only goal would come from their goated Argentinian forward Lionel Messi in the 28th minute, as Messi would put together 30 goals, I believe, in this. He put, or at least 25 goals in this season, as La Liga has one more game left. Barcelona, with this loss, now sits 5 games below Real Madrid, as they officially have no chance of winning the table. And they sit 2 points ahead of Sevilla, so it's very possible that they could finish fourth in the table. However, unlikely, but that's still that's a serious possibility. So now the La Liga is a 2-team race between Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid. Jumping out to Liga, just looking out first to how that table is being set up. Lille would face off against Saint-Étienne, and they would actually draw, which would be very advantageous for PSG. With this draw, Lille sits on top of Ligue by 1 point. Sitting right behind them is PSG with 79 points. They're sitting right behind them after their win against Stade de Reims. Their first goal would be a penalty kick from their elite Brazilian forward, Neymar Jr. And then their second goal will come from their elite French forward, Kylian Mbappe, in the 24th minute. Then Marquinhos and Moise Kean would add as well. Like I said, they now hold the second best record, as they said, 1 point below Lille and 2 points ahead of AS Monaco. As with one more game left in the season, it looks as though Ligue 1 looks to be a 3-team race between Lille, PSG, and AS Monaco, because Monaco, after they beat Stade Rennes, They don't have the higher goal differential, but if they have Lila on tiebreakers, then they very well could overtake Lila. So now, with one game left, the mini eyes are going to be on those three teams in Liga as we transition more and more. And that's everything from yesterday. And of course, there's not much going on today because, of course, today is Monday. And with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to all 72 minutes of this piece. Today is Monday, May 17th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I want to thank everyone once again. I hope all is well, and I will catch you tomorrow. Once all of today's episodes and matchups are done, I'll come back tomorrow on Tuesday, May 18th, 2021, with another installment of The Elite. I'm James Sims, and for the last time, thanks for listening to all 71 minutes of my piece. I hope all is well, and peace out. I'll catch you tomorrow.